What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fit Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And our fourth member joining us today, Mr. Colton from Brace for Impact. What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing great, fellas. Man, it's good to be back on the debate. It's been a little while.
Yeah, I looked. I think it's been 7 episodes without you. We did 7 straight without Colton.
Damn, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
That might be my longest run without doing one here in a while. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, man, doing awesome. Really, you guys, I've been, as much as I've missed being on, I've really been enjoying the string of new first-time guests. You guys have been killing it on the guest booking. So really been enjoying what's been getting put out week to week here on the Turnbuckle Debate.
Thanks, dude. We have had some fresh blood lately.
Yeah, it's been fun having some fresh blood in the water.
How's Brace for Impact doing, man? Thursdays at 10:10.
Thursdays at 10:10. We've been starting a little earlier sometimes. It's Impact has been doing a real good job of buttoning up right at like 9:58, 9:59, or right on the nose at 10. So, you know, Ace and I, we are both watching and taking notes actively while the show's on and texting each other back and forth. So we usually just jump on as fast as we can. Sometimes a little before 10:10, but always by 10:10. I mean, I love, don't get me wrong, love doing Honor Society, but I can't say enough how excited I am to have traded in Ring of Honor for Impact. It is a much more stimulating and fun product to follow week to week. And just as an old school wrestling fan, man, like you get shit at Impact you're not going to get anywhere else. And I feel like we beat this next statement to death, but it is like the most consistent product as far as like peaks and valleys. Its valleys are not as low as AEW's valleys, and its peaks might not be as high either, but it's consistent programming. It is like formula driven. You get a great mix of excellent in-ring work with, backstage vignettes, with pre-tape promos, all kinds. It's good storytelling. It's a great time. Love working with Ace. I was, last week I was out sick, so he did a great job of holding it down solo. But yeah, man, it's been an exciting summer for wrestling. We just came off the Multiverse United 2 show, and then also just Emergence the following week. And then at the same time, we've had All In and then going into All Out. Just so much wrestling this summer. It's been awesome.
It cracks me up that it took us this long to do an Impact show and that we chose Tony Khan's Ring of Honor over Impact. I think we were expecting maybe something different.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
The programming isn't even comparable when you compare ROH to Impact.
No, it's really not. And I got a shout out to J-Bone. He texted me a long time ago and put the bug in my ear. He's like, just so you, I think you'd be great for an Impact show, just so you know. He's like, I talked to Chad about it. So I was like, I knew that we already had the Ring of Honor show, and that's kind of where I was like, I wanted to find my spot and get in on a weekly show. But yeah, I think we all had higher hopes. Let's be real of what Tony Khan's Ring of Honor was going to be when they first announced weekly TV. It's still a fun product, but it's, packing in 14 matches into a 2-hour show. It's a lot to digest.
There's some great guys on there that aren't developmental, but that show just feels developmental to me.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, I think they're still trying to figure out what they want to do. I don't think it needs to be a 2-hour show at this point. I think it could do a lot better if it was an hour and a half, especially just to give them, the wrestlers and the production guys, a little bit of a break. Because, God, they're taping Ring of Honor and Rampage now, after respectively Dynamite and Collision. And that's a lot of shit to get in every week, boys.
That's a lot.
Yeah, man. Well, we're glad to have you back. We have 3 new topics to debate. We don't have to go through the rigmarole of what the rules are. We know what the rules are.
This is the 4 horsemen of the debate, man.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, if you guys are ready, we'll get into our first topic.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. First topic of the evening. CM Punk. Should he stay or should he go?
Wow.
After all there was controversy around things that happened at All In. Stories came out with him and Jack Perry and things that happened. So what do you guys think? CM Punk, stay or go?
Oh, what a question. How many different things have to happen with the same guy involved? Whether you think it's his fault or not, before you should say maybe it's better off that this guy's not here. But I mean, and I'm not like, I don't know, like at this point, I'm a big CM Punk guy. I love CM Punk, but I hate all the controversy that's surrounding him there. And it just, I don't know. I'm almost to the point where I'm saying just go, even though I don't even know. We don't know the facts. We don't know the full details, but he's the one who's in the center of all these stories. He's the common denominator. I don't know. I'm almost to the point where I'm saying go.
Well, are you at the point where you're saying go?
You gotta stay or go, Tom. Yeah and yeah.
I'm gonna say stay for now then.
But
If the last report I read where he was the one who confronted Jack Perry first is true, then I say fuck him, let him go. Like,
I say 1,000% he should stay.
Ooh.
I think this is bullshit. Yeah, okay, he's at the center of all this attention. He's the common denominator. But you know what also is the common denominator? If they would have buried the hatchet over the shit that happened last year and got in front of the locker room and moved past this as a group, this shit wouldn't still be happening. It wouldn't. Like all this petty ass bullshit, like, and I don't know, man. I think it's more than just him. I get that he's this issue. He had an attitude in WWE, but even with the WWE shit, like we weren't getting a lot of this. We weren't hearing a lot of this. The big fallout was the doctor situation and all of that. But like leading up to that, I don't remember all of these stories coming out in WWE of him fighting with people in the back. That I don't remember any of that. The problem is he's coming in with an ego. He's coming in wanting to be the old school leader, lead by example, the old school way. And I think in the beginning, it seemed pretty hunky dory. And then the Colt Cabana shit and the dirt sheet shit and him starting to grow a distrust with the elite because of Hangman and then the promo. And, you know, we all know what happened with that. Now, anything that happens becomes bigger than it actually needs to be because that issue was never handled. That issue was just put to the side and no one could talk about it. And the Bucks, you know, if we believe what he said, he's tried to reach out. Legal doesn't want him. The Bucks don't want to talk about it. So the fact that we as fans still think there's beef, it hasn't been settled. The locker room still thinks there's beef. You've divided the locker rooms. Jack Perry's obviously a SoCal guy. He's going to side with those guys. He came in with them. There's a lot of blame to be put around, in my opinion. I mean, Jack Perry, what are you thinking, dude, when you make that comment in the biggest stage at All In and you get in the camera and you make that line and you know you're poking the bear? We all know the bear has claws. He's going to react. And you took that. Okay, Punk comes up to him. There's a squabble. All of that happens. As soon as that squabble happens, literally Sean Ross Sapp is tweeting about it. That's an issue. Anyone who leaks stuff over there, AEW, and people might disagree with me, but AEW, when they do contracts, they should have NDAs tied into those contracts, non-disclosure agreements, where if you leak and you are discovered to leak to a dirt sheet, you are fired on the spot, in my opinion, or sued over it. Because
I was fired and sued.
Case in point, Brian Alvarez, who I'm a fan of. I like Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. I like dirt sheets. I like that they report. But Brian Alvarez comes out, CM Punk and Miro was also in an altercation, and then it gets retracted, and it was all a joke. They were joking with each other, but it was so that's why these guys aren't even doing their due diligence as journalists, dirt sheet writers. They're not even digging. As soon as they hear anything, they want to be the first one to get it out there. So they report it before confirming anything. That's a prime example. He reported that as another fight with Punk and Miro, and then it comes out later. So you're just breeding this shit. And it's all coming from locker room turmoil and people tweeting out or people messaging these guys and the moles and the rats in the locker room. Like, I want CM Punk to stay. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but I think when he's in the ring cutting promos, I enjoy him. I like him. I think there's more problems than just him. And it is very convenient for people to just pile onto this guy and say he's the only problem.
I think here's a question too. Like, what are these guys and this is a real question, like not rhetorical at all, but what are they getting from the dirt sheets that they're reporting to? Are they getting kickback? Are they getting money? What's the incentive for them to go straight to Sean Ross Sapp and give him this information?
Well, I mean, I think it's got Jack Perry's name in a lot more people's mouths than it would have been just based off his match alone. I mean, I don't know. Part of me, you can put the tinfoil hat on here, brother. Part of me thinks it's all fucking work. Like, I don't know. It's, and I know I said that at some point I've been, as far as Brawl Out goes, I was on every side of it at one point. I went through the roller coaster. It's all fucking work. It's been a work from the beginning to fuck Punk. I don't even want him back. Who cares? I've never really been a Punk guy until I went to the United Center for his return and saw that promo, and maybe you can call it being caught up in the moment of being present and being there for it. I don't know, man. I'm kind of turning into a Punk guy. I'm kind of coming around on him, and I 1,000% think he should stay. I don't even think it's a question that he should go. And I think shortly after reports came out that Jack and him had some sort of backstage altercation, Miro tweeted immediately like, that's false and untrue. And I think it's come out since that it was that take of it that Jack was the one to start it, is what he was saying was false and untrue. I took that to, when I first read that, I took that to mean like, Miro's saying there was no goddamn altercation whatsoever. So,
right.
I think I'm not going to go as far as to say that I think that this whole situation is a work. I think words were absolutely probably exchanged at some point. I don't know, man. I don't know, the whole staring into the camera and making the point and calling out the point about the glass. I mean, that feels like, I don't know. That feels like a work to me a little bit. That feels premeditated and pre-planned. I mean, I think no matter what, controversy creates cash, creates buzz. They're getting all press is good press, in my opinion, especially for a company this young. Like, we're sitting here talking about it, and the whole fucking, the internet's not been able to talk about anything else. I mean, we're still talking about this a week later,
The only thing I hate is that we're talking about this instead of 80,000 plus in Wembley Stadium. That's the thing that I think is a shame. And I do think I'm with you. Like, as long as your name's in the press, for the most part, people are talking about you. And I think that's what drives the dirt sheet guys to report on this stuff, is the clickbaitiness of it. Like, even the way they even the wording they choose of Punk got Jack Perry in a chokehold. So in our minds, we imagine his two hands around him when essentially he probably got him in a headlock.
Yeah,
probably restrained him in a headlock, and that got turned into chokehold. Here's a take: who is more professional at Wembley? The young guy who kicks off the show, has all the eyes on him, gets in the camera and says the glass comment, knowing what he's doing, knowing he's poking the bear. Okay. You have that side of it. Or the guy who just gets in a fight at Gorilla, like knockdown, drag out, chokehold fight, His music hits, he goes out, puts a banger of a match on, and we are none the wiser for it. It doesn't do anything, doesn't retaliate on camera, doesn't get in the camera and say, how about that, Jack Perry? None of that. He goes out with Joe, and I thought that match was an awesome match. I thought it was a good match. And so who's more professional there? We want to throw Punk under the bus because he's an easy target. It's very easy to just call him CM Schmuck, and he's a shithead, and he's an asshole. But when you really look at that situation, an isolated situation, to me, the jabroni, the unprofessional one, is Jack Perry.
Absolutely.
And the only reason so I agree 100% with what you're saying here, Chad. But isn't that exactly what we're trying to paint Jack Perry's new character to be?
Exactly.
So, and I mean, he's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy. I'm happier with Jack Perry being presented as a heel. But like, all he's got going for him. Like, obviously, I think this is the end of him and Hook's feud at this point. I think so. I mean, or I'm hoping that it's close to an end because I don't think there's a lot of meat on the bone left here.
Right.
So what do we do? What's it going to take to really keep this flame burning of him being, kind of a stuck up? I get a lot of Dirty Dango vibes from this presentation of Jack Perry, which if you're not familiar with what
Dirty Dango's
formerly known as, Dirty Dango and Impact is absolutely fucking killing it. Like, it is some of the best heel work in wrestling today. I absolutely love it. It's extremely self-aware. If you're not familiar with it, basically, like, he is a pro wrestler who hates pro wrestling, and he wears trunks out to the ring that say "slap here" on his right thigh. I mean, it's fucking awesome. Like, it's so good. So yeah, I don't know, that part of it for me it keeps me with that little conspiracy light bulb on. Like, might all be a work.
Let me take that tinfoil hat off of you, Colton, and put it on my head for a minute. Okay, so we know Brawl Out came and went. All of the fans are wanting the Elite versus Punk, the Elite versus Punk. We haven't got it yet. What if a way to change the direction of what fans want, to get people to forget about that feud, is to work a new feud that they can make happen?
Yeah.
And that's Jungle Boy and Punk taking a quote unquote real life story. Even if all of it is legit, is there more of an opportunity for Jack Perry and Punk to do a program together where Jack Perry is elevated as a heel? Who knows? I know that's complete conspiracy shit, but it's a way to maybe get people to forget about the Bucks Punk situation, even just for a little bit. I don't know.
And it brings eyes on Jack Perry. Like, look at the eyes he would get on him if they throw him into that situation. And we all say, like, we love the reality mixed with our wrestling. It's perfect if it was true. But I wonder, you talked about poking the bear. Could the Elite be talking to these guys and trying to poke Punk on purpose because they want him out of there? Tony Khan, in my opinion, needs to have a meeting with every single person on the roster and say, if there's somebody here you don't want to work with, there's the door. Because everybody's staying, and you people need to stop going to the dirt sheets. We are a team. We work together. None of this shit needs to get out there because Tony Khan needs to put his foot down. He needs to look like a man. He needs to look like a boss. When I saw him in Chicago, he was hanging out in a lobby with all the wrestlers, just eating and having fun like he was just their friends.
Same thing when we were there.
Is he their friend? Yes, but he's also the boss. And there's a line there. And I don't we all know he loves wrestling. He's got to separate himself a little bit. He's been in it long enough for that thrill of it being new and hanging out with all these guys has got to be down. It's got to go away.
He needs to drop the hammer. And here's the thing. Everyone's like, well, just fire Punk. There's an old story of Jimmy Johnson when he was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and he walked into a meeting and there was a player asleep at one of the team meetings, and he fired the guy on the spot. This is like a guy vying for the 53-man roster. And then as that guy's booted from the room, he walks up and taps Emmett Smith on the shoulder, who's also sleeping, says, "Wake up, Emmett." Not everything is created equal. You're not going to fire your money men. That's not smart business. You find a way to make it work. That's why CM Punk is still on this roster, because he is a money man and he's good for eyes on the company. But other than like the big names, dude, you got to make a statement if you're Tony Khan. It all falls on his shoulders. He has to come in. He has to find out who this mole is. He has to put a little cheese out for the rats that they'll bite on, that they can single out who is going to the dirt sheets. Find out who it is. I don't care who it is. Shit can their ass immediately. Call a locker room meeting. Have NDAs. Have everyone sign NDAs and be like, this is what's going to happen if you keep going to the dirt sheets and spreading it. Because honestly, a lot of these situations, I think the Elite situation was different because it happened in the public eye at this press conference. But a situation like this, a little scuffle in the back, that's something we should never be heard. We should have never heard of that.
That should have never made it out, man.
That's stuff you can settle between yourselves. But they're letting it get out of hand because they're going to people, and these little things become so much larger because all of the other history where, dude, do you know how many times WWE probably has locker room fights?
Yeah.
We've never heard of.
It's an ego-driven business, man. It's a lot of testosterone and huge egos under one roof. There's gonna be fights.
Right.
Like, which takes me back to the whole point. It's like, maybe it is all work. The fact that we've made the brawl out such a big deal, I think that payoff's still coming. I think it's coming down the line. I think
it has to.
It has to. It absolutely. Maybe I'm just still holding out hope because I will not accept a world where we don't get it. Because I did at one point say, if Punk comes back and we never get that payoff, I don't even want him back. I'm on record saying that many times.
Yeah.
But I will say I've been much happier with the presentation of him since he's gotten back than I thought I was going to be. Not to change subjects too entirely much, but like, when he first spray painted the belt, I got very much, even though it's a totally different storyline, it still gave me Hogan turning heel NWO vibes. And the fact that he did the Hogan hand to the crowd to hear the boos at Wembley and then pulled a leg drop right after it, that nod, and then walking out with that spray painted gold belt did a lot for me, man.
Well, if you notice, even during that match, the crowd flipped and they would totally got behind Joe about halfway through the match. And you could tell at that point, Punk started to work a little differently. He didn't work as the face. It was a beautiful thing. The stories this guy tells when he's on the mic and in the ring, sure, he might not be the best wrestler out there, but he's not. But he could command everything he does. He's so good at it. And why you don't want this guy in that company is beyond. It's just totally beyond me. Question. Here's
his ring IQ is just as good as anyone. He might not be a 5-star match guy, but he's great, man, in ring IQ.
Yeah. My question for you, what is the divide? Like, why is it that people who didn't watch Punk during his WWE run can't stand him now? Even before the whole Brawl Out thing, they weren't on the Punk train. I'm trying to, like, this week I've been thinking about that a lot. Why is it that the new crowd, the new people to him don't like him? Like, I just don't understand why, because the guy, up until he got hurt and Brawl Out, like, the guy had one of the most entertaining stories in AEW with MJF. Like, he was telling stories there, so I just don't understand.
I think a lot of the new fans that don't like him, that's the Elite camp.
Yeah.
Or the fans that didn't talk to him prior, or not talk to him, the fans that didn't watch him prior, that didn't, there was a lot of fans that didn't watch him in WWE.
I didn't. I was on a big break from wrestling during his run in WWE, and I'll say, Tom, when his first entrance into the company, I was like, why the fuck is this dude so special? Like, I knew that he had a rabid fan base, but I also knew he was rather polarizing. But yeah, when he first came on the scene on AEW, I didn't really give a shit. He didn't do a whole lot for me. It wasn't until the Brawl Out that he kind of piqued my interest, and like I said, I've been on all sides of it since then. But my first, during watching the scrum, like watching it live, I assumed it was all a work, and that it was, and I was so excited for it. I was like, oh man, this is going to be real heat week to week on TV, like we haven't seen maybe ever before, but definitely haven't seen in like 20 years. And then it came out and was like, oh man, this is real, and people have their feelings hurt. That's kind of lame. Like,
well, here's what needs to happen, man. Here's what Punk needs to stay. The locker room needs to grow the fuck up, and they need to thank Punk for the house, just like the old school days. They need to, because to me it seems like Punk is the adult, and there's just a bunch of children in the locker room.
Bunch of babies.
and it seems like the children are trying to challenge the adult. And Tony needs to grow up too. You know, he has to grow up as well. and I 100% agree that they need to find who's leaking this shit. They need to fire him, and that's that, man. They
set
need
precedent. Let people know if you go talk to Dirt Sheets, you're getting fired.
Yeah, I just don't. The one I'll never understand, and I really don't understand what the incentive is to go to these Dirt Sheets.
Because
what are you getting? I know Sean Ross Sapp's he's not paychecking these people.
No, they're not paying. So I don't understand it either, because if you're in AEW, you would think you would want the company to succeed, and leaking shit like this, it breeds dissension, man. There is no good.
But they need to grow. They need to grow the fuck up. They need to thank him for the house. They need to shake his hand when they come into the locker room, and they need to learn their fucking place.
And here's the thing, too, man.
And I'm not a big punk guy.
I'm not a big punk guy either. But like the thing that kills me now, if they were uncovering something in the locker room, these moles were uncovering women are being mistreated. There's racist shit going on. If it was legit things that needed to be reported, to correct, to put out in public, I would be all over it. But the fact that these leaks are for these little pussy ass fist fights, dude, come on, man. Like grow up and deal with it, handle it like men, and quit being little bitch tattletales going to the Dirt Sheets.
I'll never understand, man.
It's unreal.
All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts on CM Punk before we move on?
I think we about covered it.
All right.
Almost a half hour on that shit.
I'm sure we'll be back in 2 fucking weeks with another Punk question when he gets into it with Orange Cassidy or somebody.
No.
I can't wait for that.
Listen, the guy respects the history of wrestling. I love what he brings. I want him to stay.
Keeps it interesting.
Good point.
I like it.
Good point.
Stay.
Tom. Great way. All right. So we'll move on to the next topic of the evening. Can AEW pull Wembley-size gates in the United States? Now, Colton, this was your topic, so I will defer to you to go first on this one.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off by saying congratulations to AEW. There's a lot of naysayers that said they weren't even going to be able to sell. I'm pretty sure I remember Hawk being like, "Oh yeah, they'll sell 40,000 tickets." I mean, way to go, Tony Khan, AEW, the entire team, man. I mean, 81,000 tickets, 81,035. That's fucking huge, man. That's amazing.
It wasn't bought out either. That place was rocking. It looked full.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, there wasn't any point in time where I was watching the show where I was like, "Oh, I don't know, man. This doesn't really look like 80,000 people." Like, yeah, it was packed.
It was.
It was
at a pre-show.
Even for the pre, I'm like, man, that was my first thought. I was like, those UK fans, man, they show up early and they're ready to go. Like, and I loved it during the pre-show. RJ City was talking to some guys on the floor, and the first 2 guys he pulls are from fucking Phoenix, Arizona. That's hilarious. But I don't think they can pull these gates in the US yet. I will say that I think a large part of this size gate has to do with the age-old concept of absence makes the heart grow fonder, and the fact that UK has not had anything from AEW yet. And in general, I mean, the UK's they're a great fan base for whatever sport or entertainment you want to put out there. Some of the best fans in the world. But they're pretty starved for American wrestling in general. I mean, yeah, WWE's been over there this year as well. We got Impact over there, or coming over there later this year, but it's just really, they don't get a whole lot. So I think that definitely played into the size of the gate and also just the incredible job they did on the promotion. Do I think AEW will pull in a couple of years? Do I think they're going to be able to pull these gates, this size gate, close to it? Absolutely. I think, at least right now in the US, we still face a little bit of an oversaturation problem with wrestling and just other forms of entertainment in general, but especially with wrestling, man, there's so much wrestling to go see. There's so many other options going on that I think we're still away from pulling 75, 80,000 in a US arena personally.
Well, after reading today that they're thinking that they might have to move Grand Slam into a smaller stadium because tickets aren't selling, compared to how especially they did 2 years ago, it's also a Wednesday night, but then again, 2 years ago, they practically sold out Arthur Ashe. But now they're saying, like, rumors are they have to move it over to the other stadium out in Long Island because tickets aren't moving. Again, it also hurts. We don't know cards. Like, when you're going to have a Arthur Ashe, you need to know who's going to be there. We need to, like, it would help if we knew the main event. And it's so far out, it makes sense they're not doing it yet. But I don't think they're ready yet. But I agree. I think they will be at some point. The company's only growing. More and more people are liking it and turning their eyes to it. So, and especially after seeing what happened this weekend, I think that's only going to help. So I don't think they're ready yet, but I think they're getting there. And their product's only getting better. They're still learning. And it's still only 3 years old. Like, UK, like you said, they don't have a major promotion over there all the time. The first time there, they're getting to see, and then you put Ospreay on our card. How smart was that? Like, they did everything they needed to do for that. Like, it was beautiful. But yeah, their time is coming into the WWE, in the United States, and the WWE. What the fuck am I talking about?
WWE numbers, though. Yeah, I know where your head's at. I was picking up what you're putting down.
Thank you, Colton. I appreciate you picking me.
I don't know, man. I'm going to say I think they might be able to. I feel like just for the spectacle of a stadium event, that alone would draw a lot of people to come in. And I think with the right story, man, I think they might be able to do it. I think in the right area with the right story, if you put on a stadium event, I think stadium events draw people in just by having that. So I honestly think with the right story that they might be able to pull it off. It might be tough to go 80,000, but I think they might make a stadium look good.
Yeah, I would say right story, right city. 50, 60 possible, maybe.
Yeah.
Wembley-size gate, 80,000. I'm kind of with Colton and Tom. I think we're a couple years out from that, just because, like Colton, you mentioned, them UK is starved for wrestling. Well, not only are they starved for wrestling, but this was the first time they ever got AEW. This was AEW's debut. Same thing with Arthur Ashe. The reason they sold that first show out, I'm pretty sure that was New York City's debut for AEW. Like, everyone wanted to be there. The US has been, they've been running this hard, especially the East Coast, and that's why I think they've seen a little more success going out to the West here recently, because those crowds were starved. I don't think they can hit 80,000 like this year or next year in the States. I think they've got they got a sloppy shop right now, and they got to clean up some stuff. Because I do think what we talked about before, the dissension in the locker room and all that with the CM Punk stuff, I do think there is a good section of fans that has turned them off to this company.
For sure.
And I think there is a good section of fans in the States that they like hating AEW. They think it's not their thing, and the tribalism and the Cult of Cornette guys and all of that. Like, so you're not going to get just all the fans showing up, but I do think there is something to be said, though. If you were to announce, hey, this time next year, we're going to Dallas Stadium, AT&T Stadium in Texas, and you say Kenny Omega versus CM Punk, you could probably get 50, 60 in there. Maybe, who knows? It's all in the buildup. It's all in the state of the company. Where are we at? Do the fans trust you? Is the company hot? But 80,000 right now in the US, I don't know. The Khans are really tapped into UK. They've got the Fulham.
Yeah.
They're personal friends with the people who run Wembley, who own Wembley. I think Shad Khan even at one point was going to buy Wembley Stadium. So they've got major connections over there too. I don't know. I can't see 80,000 in the US right now.
I don't think we're as far away as what we think, though. I honestly don't, man.
Yeah, I agree. And like a lot of it too in the US is like there's not really that many stadiums that big. I mean, like AT&T Stadium in Dallas is 80. That's its cap. Like
Right.
which of course that's, with no seats on the field for sure. So I mean, I guess it would be comparable in size to Wembley. But yeah, I don't think we're too far off. I think you guys are right. I mean, I think they could probably pull a 50 or 60 show, pretty easily. I mean, because they're going in arenas that do 25, 30 and damn near selling them out, no problem. So I mean, some markets better than others. They've run through Kentucky, I think 3 times now this year. They've done 2 times so far. Little birdie told me they're coming a 3rd time, but they haven't been able to advertise yet because WWE was just here. But little birdie told me they've got their sports commission license or application approved for an event actually in Louisville. So I'm hoping that gets announced soon. But they've done a Dynamite and a Collision at Rupp Arena in Lexington where the Cats play. And I went to the Dynamite, but not the Collision. It was packed, man. I mean, it was a great. They're hitting these markets that they hadn't hit as much in the first 3-4 years, and they're really spiking up. I think you hit the nail on the head, Chad, when you said West is really showing out right now because they kind of beat the roads to death with the East Coast. Because I mean that makes the most sense for them launching out of Jacksonville and everything. One thing I'll be interested to see will be because I mean they said it was 81,035 paid. All right. I don't know, man. I feel like some comps probably went into that just a little bit just because we've seen it in the past. I mean, what was it with WrestleMania 3 with WWE? They claimed it was like 93,000 people. And then retrospective analysis, it was like closer to 78. I don't think we're going to see anything as a disparity like that. But
they've pretty much said they had comps and that was not included.
Tony came out and said with the ticket takers, all the people working the event. Yeah. If you were to count the people working the event, and he said they gave out several thousand comps, it would have been closer to 90,000.
Holy shit!
But he didn't want to release that number.
Yeah,
because he said he didn't want to be taken like WWE was. Yeah. So he wanted to just release the actual paid attendance and not get into some.
That's a smart thing to do.
I think it is too, man.
No, smart man, because that's you. Yeah.
Because if he would have done it any other way, if he would have said,
people would have shit on him.
Oh, it'd have been shit show city for sure.
And if you think back to the first Arthur Ashe, that was during the original Elite storyline with the Belt Collector. AEW was red hot back then. You get this company right back to where it was, and I don't think it's far off right now. You go put them in Wrigley. I think they could sell out Wrigley right now. I don't think they'd have a problem.
Dude, it really is like, I'm with you, Tom. Like the thing with wrestling, like everyone looks at WWE. Oh man, look, they've been doing it a long, long time. They've got the Mania. Mania is a thing in and of itself.
Right.
But on top of that, the reason they're doing so well right now is because they have a storyline that is absolutely red hot.
Yeah.
Like if you take the Bloodline away and maybe even the Judgment Day, it's dark days over there, man. There's not a whole lot over there besides that.
Go back 18 months ago when WWE and AEW were both running UBS on Long Island. WWE had sold like a fraction of the tickets AEW did for the Dynamite, like within the same couple-month period, because of how hot AEW was that time and how cold WWE was.
It's all about the storylines. What's hot? Yeah. If you're hot, you can do a lot more.
And that's the thing. Like you keep like listening to Sam Roberts this week. He was mentioning how this Adam Cole and MJF is so close to the Bloodline story because you're on the end of your seat watching it. That whole match. Like, what else are we on the end of our seat for in AEW? And every week, what can't we wait to see? That's the highlight. They showed up on Collision, and the numbers popped big time. It was like the highest rated episode other than the premiere episode. So, like, you have something there. That's why I'm so glad they didn't jump in and, like, end that story this week and have them turn on each other. I hope they kind of make it go where the turn on each other kind of like you're not even teasing it anymore, and then, boom, let it happen out of nowhere.
And, AEW fans are eating it up. I think a lot of WWE fans are even liking it. And then you've got those people out there that think it's hokey ass bullshit and all wrestling should be serious all the time.
And then MJF, when he's yelling, "Is it all about the title for you?" And Adam Cole throws the belts, like he knows how to pull you in. He pulls your emotions like nobody else can do.
It's different. It's different. It doesn't always.
He went on with the program about the Jew boy, and you're sitting there feeling sorry for him. This guy has us eating out of his hands, and people don't even realize how good he is at it yet.
It doesn't always have to be babyface, hardcore babyface versus evil heel, and everything's serious and on the line. Like I love that shit. We get that all the time. I like that it's like something different. That it's these friends, and when is it going to turn? It's a different take on a main event storyline.
And the whole way that it came about, with them having the match and then getting put in the lethal lottery and getting teamed up.
It's been fun.
Like that was fun, man, to bring back the lethal lottery and these two enemies get put together.
Is this storyline big enough to draw Wembley Gate in the US?
I think eventually, I honestly do, man.
Yes.
If you get it, it could get there, but it's got a ways to go, I think.
Yeah, which is what when the bloodline started,
someone else could get brought in. Remember when Sammy got brought into the bloodline? Like, we had no idea he was going to be an element. We have no idea. There could be some other third figure brought into this storyline that shakes it up and makes it completely interesting. Imagine a third person being brought in. Punk.
CM Punk with the Real World's title.
There you go. Listen, and then when it explodes, better than you, baby, explodes, just like the Mega Powers.
Could you imagine a triple threat? Adam Cole, CM Punk, and MJF, both titles on the line.
Those guys in promo wars with each other? Yes, please.
I think there's so many ways that you could go, and I think that there's a lot of ways that they could go that would shock people that they could do or should do.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. All right. Anybody have any final thoughts on Wembley-size gates in the States?
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's one day.
Yeah.
One day.
I don't think we're far off, man. I think we got a couple of years.
The company's here to stay, so one day they'll get there.
What other company has ever pulled 80,000 plus besides WWE?
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on to our final topic of the evening. Did Bray Wyatt's untimely passing protect his legacy?
Wow.
Just a full. I know this is a trigger warning out there and I know this is fresh. It's a tragedy. Obviously, we all love Bray Wyatt. This is an awful thing. We've all been mourning him. The Raw Down did a great memorial episode on Bray Wyatt. Thoughts and prayers to his friends and family. But this is a debate show, and nothing like a good controversial debate. And I think it's something to be talked about.
I'm gonna start it off hot.
You brought this topic,
this is
Tom.
your topic, Tom. So I want to hear what you have to say.
I'm gonna say yes, but at no fault of Bray's. When he's working in WWE and he's coming up with stories and he's not being allowed to finish them, and they're changing it on him, how is it? He's not writing it. Like, the whole original Wyatt family was amazing. Everything about it, the entrance was amazing. Like, I love that. I love the Fiend. And then what happened? It got WWE influenced, and Vince started getting involved, and they started changing it. And then he leaves, he gets let go, he comes back, and he's another version of himself. That was entertaining. He's got this Uncle Howdy thing. And then all of a sudden we start hearing whispers from the back. WWE was trying to kill the Uncle Howdy thing. Meanwhile, Bray has complete control, supposed to have complete control over it, and they're trying to change it. Like, they could fuck up what he was trying to do and make a great story. We never got the payoff for Uncle Howdy. We have no idea where it was going. All we know is, like, come on, let's get there. Like, he's been back for so long, but when the powers that be are pushing against what you're trying to do, how is that his fault? But it can ruin him. The whole process can ruin him. So I think in order to protect his, like, this did protect what he was doing. Like it's the end now. We don't get to see any more Bray Wyatt. Maybe he would have been on and been great, but with WWE's history, I don't know if it was true that they were trying to bury what he was doing and stop it because they didn't like it. I know.
So you're saying him passing away does protect his legacy?
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to say
WWE could have ruined him more.
I'm
not
going to, yeah.
his own.
I'm going to say 1,000% this protects his legacy. And this isn't shitting on him in any way, but if you look at anyone, any celebrity, any person of status in the public eye that has passed away before their time, like young, it immortalizes you in a way. And with people like Kurt Cobain, those musicians, we never got a chance to see them lose that edge in their old age. We never get to see them become the butt of a joke, because American pop culture audiences are really bad. They build you up till you're this icon, and then they want to tear you down later. A lot of these people got built up and then they die at the height of their popularity, and they never get tore down. They get immortalized through their death.
Yep.
And I think Bray is going to have that, where we're never going to see everything kind of go bad. Not that it could have gotten better. And I think the chances are it would have gotten better. But from where I was sitting, a lot of fans were shitting on him.
Yeah.
Towards the end, he was getting a lot of negative. He had that amazing return. Everyone loved it. I loved that return. I thought it was incredible. All the White Rabbit stuff that built up to it. We were hook, line, and sinker, man. It was so good. It was so unique. It was so creative. So kind of just like trend setting. But then as that went on and we got to the Mountain Dew match.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
By that point, fans will never, a lot of fans won't admit to this. And I think they probably get hot at this topic. The temperature of the room had turned on Bray Wyatt. People were like, I'm sick of this. I don't want to see it. I remember even on Raw Down a few times, like they're like, don't bring him back with the, the opinion was starting to shift.
Yeah.
That he never lands it. He has a great opening. He never lands it. So I think his passing, like any other celebrity who goes out at the top, it protects your legacy. It definitely does.
Not only does it protect it, but it kind of enhances it.
Tupac, Biggie.
Yeah.
We never got to see a bad Biggie record. You know what I mean?
Like that's the thing, man. Like that's why it does protect your legacy. It does, because you never got to see a scandal with Heath Ledger. There was never a scandal that would ruin his career. There's never going to be that career ruining moment.
Or where they quote unquote sell out or,
Yeah. And with Bray, it kind of freezes in time how people feel about it. And, people were on the outs with what was going on with the Uncle Howdy stuff, but people, I think what's frozen in time with Bray and his legacy is that return. And I think that's where everybody's going to land on where they're going to remember is he had that amazing return and then he's gone.
The big epic return.
Yep. And I think that's frozen in time, man. And I think that protects his legacy.
Yeah, no debate here out of me. I think it 100% protects his legacy, and incredibly sad. Bray's gone way too soon. Guy obviously had a whole lot more to offer the business. He was, everybody in the business who's come out and said anything about him, just everybody talks about how brilliant he was, how warm and welcoming he was. And Chad, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. There was a lot of people. Wasn't just us here at the Tavern. There was a lot of people talking about how how the conclusion or the second half of his most recent storylines just really weren't landing. And I don't think, I don't know. This is just my opinion. I'm not backstage at WWE, but I would say that was due to mishandling of him by the company. I think we had another question about Bray at one point earlier in the year is, does he need to stay in WWE? And at that point, I was like, no, man, I think Impact Wrestling would be the perfect place for this guy to just turn him loose and let him do something super spooky and paranormal and weird in a place where that's accepted and celebrated. And, you know, I think that this, you know, I hate to see him gone, but you know, he will be immortalized, and, you know, we won't see another Mountain Dew Pitch Black match out of him. And, you know, you gotta there's no way he wanted to do that. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the byproducts of doing business with a machine that big. And, you know, like I said, I mean, I'd much rather still have him here, but it definitely protects his legacy.
I would rather have a Mountain Dew, blackout Mountain Dew match every pay-per-view instead of it. You know, like, I think he never had the opportunity to fully show what he had. You know what I mean? Like that's the shame. And the big thing, I think he'll be immortalized. The Wyatt family, the 6-man matches against the Shield are legendary. His promos, like, he brought me back to wrestling. Like, we had a buddy we talk about on the show that passed away, one of our good wrestling friends when we lived in New York, Mike Bean, R.I.P., one of the greatest, called me when and was like, dude, I know you haven't been watching wrestling last couple of years. There's a couple crazy rednecks that just showed up. I think you'd like them. and it got me watching. So I loved Bray. Sneed told me about him too. But
I remember
shame to me, the biggest shame to me is that in all of this, like, knowing that we would lose him at 36, the fact that he was released by Vince McMahon and we didn't get anything from him for over a year is a fucking travesty.
Yep.
Although I'll say this, you say that now, but I thought about the exact same thing the other day, and I say at least he got to be home with his family and kids.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point, Tom.
At it. So I agree. It was robbed from us, but that, you know, his family will take that time. And
that's
much better than him going out in a hotel room on the road. Yeah.
That's a way better point. Yeah, you're dead on with that.
So, and I was just telling Colton before we started, I had just read that apparently he was supposed to be wearing a defibrillator even that day, and it was found in his car. He wasn't wearing it. What a shame.
He had a follow-up appointment that day. You know, he had been having issues and had a follow-up appointment with his doctor.
And like I said, his legacy has grown already, because we're watching AEW on Saturday, All In, 80,000 people with their flashlights out. And what do they say? The Fireflies are out tonight.
Yeah. And forever it'll be that.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it gives me goosebumps. Like,
dude, I just got goosebumps thinking about Buddy Matthews bringing out the lantern for their entrance at All In. It was so fucking cool, man.
Beautiful tribute to and listening to everybody speak about him, his friends, listening to Natalia talking about going trick-or-treating with him, like hearing people talk about his laugh, and it's just like, and this isn't even stuff that we've just heard. We've heard this about him before. Like, the guy had a heart of gold, and it just, they say only the good die young, and it's just another case of that.
I always related to him because he seemed like somebody that would be in my circle of friends.
Yeah.
Like, the shit he was into, the music he vibed on, the horror movies he loved, he tattooed, big beard. I mean, if you picked one of my buddies out of a lineup, it would be a Bray Wyatt. I always loved Bray. And I don't know, man. It's a shame, but I do think you have those people. It's one thing to lose Terry Funk. You know, that was sad, but he had a long road. You know, he contributed a lot. But when you lose someone at 36, like Brian Pillman at 35, Owen, those guys take on mythic levels.
Yeah.
Where they almost become a legend. Not like a legend, and, you know, Piper's a legend, and all these older guys, they're legends, but I'm talking about, it's like James Dean in movies. Dude did like 3 movies, but the legend of him looms larger than what he ever gave to the business. Marilyn Monroe never really.
James Dean only did 3 movies.
Yeah, so it's like,
I thought he was this huge Hollywood star for years from everything I've heard about him.
No, but that's the thing. Like, it's the the legend of them, the mythos of them becomes bigger than what they ever gave. Marilyn Monroe's the same way. And I think wrestling has those guys. Like Pillman never got to give what he could have. Owen didn't get to give what he could have, but their legend looms over the business like they were titans, and I think that's what Bray is going. When those Fireflies come out and people hold up their phones, he will forever be kind of locked into the business.
I was so happy when Brett left WWF in a day because I was more of an Owen guy, and I wanted to see him get to shine without Brett overshadowing him.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts on Bray's legacy before we move on?
Gone way too soon. Rest in peace, brother. Say hey to Brody for us.
Yeah, R.I.P., man.
All right, guys. Well, we do have a round robin. We'll move into that now.
Round robin.
Name the next 3 first-time AEW World Champions.
Wow. In order or just next 3?
Just next
3.
Okay.
Oof. Okay, well, Adam Cole's definitely going to be in the next 3. I think Orange Cassidy has to get a shot after what he's proved, what he's done with the international title. And who else can I throw out there? Ricky Starks. There you go.
Nice. Man, I'm going to... All 3 are on here for me. I think it's pictured on here on the graphic. I think it's Adam Cole. I think Malachi Black. And Will Ospreay, especially with his New Japan contract coming up. So
I'm gonna say Adam Cole, Danielson, Ricky Starks. And I purposely didn't put anybody in there because I know he's on your list.
I'm gonna say Adam Cole, Ospreay, and Swerve Strickland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Swerve is going to be on Chad's list.
I love Swerve.
Yeah, Swerve was who. Yeah, Swerve. I knew Swerve was going to be on there but I wholeheartedly agree for sure.
Love Swerve. I threw Edge on there just as a little what if, guys? What if?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
I think he's tied up with Christian.
Yeah,
he's coming to AEW. I think.
Oh, he's coming to AEW. I don't think he'll be champion.
And I'll also say I would 100% be all in for a Christian Cage title run. Just
I would too, man. I would too. I'm hoping for Malachi. I
think it's coming, man. He might not be in the next 3, but it's coming.
We got to get that.
I would love Malachi.
Yep. All right, Colton. It's been awesome having you back on, man. We got to make it sooner than 7, man.
Yeah. Put me back in the rotation, man. It's always a blast. This is one of my favorite shows to do, man. I always love coming on and just tearing it up with you guys. This was a really good one. 3 excellent topics.
Yeah, man.
This was good.
Well, tell everybody where they can find you on the Turnbuckle Tavern feed.
You guys can find me Brace for Impact Thursday nights on YouTube at 10:10, Friday on Apple and Spotify, covering all things Impact Wrestling with Ace-Filled Retro. And you can also find me on Instagram at mullet.mania. Keep your eyes posted to my page. If you don't follow me there, go give me a follow. I entered a national mullet competition. The voting will start in a couple of weeks because registration is closing. By the time this airs, it'll have closed about 2 or 3 days ago. So the main, I think the top prize is $10,000. So help me out. Let's do it. Let's bring this trophy home to the Tavern.
Kentucky Waterfall's going for the title, baby. We got to put the gold around his waist.
Yeah, get those votes in, man. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are following theturnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. You'll find everything right there. Tom, it's your spot, man. Get your shit in.
DOG Fig Hit here on Instagram Fig Night every Tuesday and every Sunday night. The All Elite Wrap Up. Me, Mike Belcaster, and Freems.
All right, man. With all that being said, court is dismissed.